people of the internet, and welcome to episode 22 of the Unnamed Games podcast. I'm Craig, your usual host, and this week we've got some news and a bit of a quiz. So, main things we're going to talk about, a bit of Google, and a bit about Mass Effect as well, which is pretty exciting. I know the boys are excited with that. So, I'm not on my own. Again, as usual, I have the reprobates with me. Going around the room, I've got Mr. Ratley Ratster. How are you, mate?
People of the internet, I'm here and I am feeling pretty good, actually, considering I've not had the best of weeks. Like, all in all, I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be with my peeps on a Friday evening to record our wonderful podcast. So,
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Hello to Internet. Hello, everything.
Nice stuff. Awesome, mate. Awesome. Then we go to Mr. Alan Longfangs Howlett. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm actually feeling a little bit elated. Like Chris, I've not had the best week, but I have to say, it's been many, many years since I've considered myself a reprobate. So, yeah, I'm pleased to be in that group of reprobates, mixing it up, making some trouble.
Nice.
But happy to be here.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. And last but not least, Mr. Speed Freak Phil Thompson. Hello, mate.
Hoi hoi, people of the internet.
Hello,
I'm
mate.
good, thank you.
Good,
Having
man.
a lovely week. It was tough, but it was good. Rewarding. That's a lie.
Company line, Phil. Drop it.
I was trying to spruce it up, but it's just I had to work all week. I seem to recall, like many months ago, there was this thing called furlough where I got to game all day long and get paid, and that seems to have gone out the window, and I can't get anywhere near it anymore.
Oh, mate. That's bad times, eh? Bad times. Yeah, it's been a tough week for me as well, but actually it's nice just to get to this Friday night and just, like you said, hang out with the peeps and have a bit of a chat about some nerdy stuff. It's just quite chill and I love it. It's great. So, first off, let's have a chat about what everybody's been up to. So, we'll go to Mr. Ratley first. What have you been up to this week, mate?
Well, shockingly, I've been playing The Division, but this week I have been playing The Division mainly because they dropped the 60 FPS patch for Series X, and it has literally changed the game. That thing is. I won't go on about too much because I think we've got some stuff to talk about later, which is sort of touching in that ballpark. But yeah, I can't get over the difference the 60 FPS has made to the game in terms of playing it, in terms of how it looks as well. Like I swear it looks better. Like it's possible that it's just because it's sharper because there's more frames being generated. But that game just feels fresh again in a nice way. It's really cool. Really happy to get that patch from Ubisoft. Like that was, much needed. And there's been the Resident Evil cosmetic event as well, which is a limited thing. So I'm grinding out to get the Resident Evil cosmetics, so I can look like someone from Resident Evil. Not that I'm really into Resident Evil, but they are quite cool cosmetics, to be fair. Yeah, and I'm sure. Oh yeah, and I've been on Sea of Thieves again. Been loving a bit of Sea of Thieves. They started the seasons, and been with my good friend Phil. We've been the other Phil, not this Phil. Been grinding out some season levels, doing a few things. We were doing Order of Souls last night, killing skeletons and stuff, and we fought a few megs and that. But yeah,
right. So is it like a season pass type thing they're putting to it? Is it?
Yeah, it's a season pass with it's just a level for grinding out stuff. You do get rewards for bits and pieces, but it is just literally season grinding essentially.
Yeah. Have you got like a paid level and a free level like they have on most stuff now?
Yeah, there's a I can't really call it, but there is a pass which I think is about £8, I think, something like that. But yeah, it's a great little thing. I mean, I'm really enjoying it, to be fair.
Nice, cool, good stuff. I do enjoy a bit of Sea of Thieves. I need to jump back on again, really, but it's just never enough time to game all the stuff you want to game.
All we do, Craig, is stand around playing our instruments and jigging.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And when we get to the end of the night, we'll set the ship on fire and then sink while playing the instruments.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. We've done that as well. Yeah, done the Titanic.
There's a thing going around on YouTube where there's a group of like folk singers, and they keep doing sea shanties and play it. They keep recording themselves playing Sea of Thieves and doing the sea shanties, which is pretty cool. So that'd be quite cool to bump into them on the
maybe
seas.
we all need to learn a sea shanty, for next week's pod.
Yeah,
they're coming back in those sea shanties, boys.
That'll make us famous. Be in the money.
Yep.
Mr. Longfangs, what have you been up to, mate? Been playing any Ark?
Well, I'm going to tell you three things, and one of them's a lie. Okay, I've watched the I've watched you know what's coming, don't you? I've watched the final episode of The Expanse. I've been sitting in a game of Dying Light waiting for my friend Jules, and I've not played any Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, the last one was a lie. I played a lot of Ark. It's my happy place. We've discussed this. I'm not going to excuse myself for it. I've really enjoyed myself. Been building a massive base. I mean, I've set myself a real challenge. I'm sure I've told you the story about how I spent weeks digging a massive hole in Minecraft, right? Because I had this amazing idea to build the Empire State Building, right? And I spent ages just digging this hole, making chests, putting all the stuff and the stone in, ready for the build. And I was getting down to the bottom, getting through all the lava, you know how it is on Minecraft. And then they added creative mode. And I was like, you can just run off. And I never went back. Yeah, I was scarred for life. Yeah, because I could have done it in 5 minutes, and it took me like 2 months of digging a freaking hole. But upon saying that, I'm a man who's not ashamed to say I never learned my lessons, and I'm now building a massive desert castle base palace on Ark. So I've got to make hundreds and hundreds of adobe walls. I'm about a third of the way through building this massive perimeter wall, and it's just taking forever, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's very relaxing.
Nice.
Last episode of Expanse, I just watched it, and it was just awesome. There are some things I want to talk about, but I know everybody hasn't watched it yet, so I'm not going to mention it. But one thing that I'm very sad, I'm very sad about, but I'm also very disappointed about. And for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, I'm starting a new trend. Every time I'm in a game with my friend Jules and he leaves me sitting there waiting for him for longer than 5 minutes, I'm tweeting about it because it happens far too much. So we had 2-hour session on Dying Light this week, and he left me waiting for 10 minutes. Actually, one was 10 minutes, 15, and one was about 20 minutes while I was just sat there watching his character doing nothing while I was waiting to proceed on with the story. So if you're not subscribed up to my Twitter, Longfangs1, please subscribe. It'll be a hoot.
It's also going to be very, very full of content based on the amount of times that
that's very.
Yeah, don't you find though that every friend group has that friend that just goes, "Oh, it'll just be 5 minutes, just need to go do something," and then like they'll sit there, they won't leave the lobby, they'll just sit there and they'll go do the thing, and then you'll be like, "Well, it's been 10 now. Should we message him or should we just wait a little bit longer?" You know,
and then 15, 20.
Yeah, we've left it.
Are you telling me Jules is actually doing online lessons? Other people are learning from him.
No, worse, he's multiplying.
Just for reference, I'm the friend who's always late out of this group before. So
yeah.
Well, yeah.
But when you get here, you're here. You don't just get here, like experience. It'd be like you getting halfway through the pod and going, "Oh, hold on, guys, I just think I'd do a thing." Then disappearing for 5 minutes while we finish the pod, and then you come back and go, "Did you finish it without me?" It's like, well, we were in the middle of it. Like,
actually, if it was Jules, Phil would say, "I'm just going to go to the loo very quickly," and then 20 minutes come back and say, "Yeah, I just cooked dinner." Yeah, I just cooked the dinner. And then I'm going to eat it while you play for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
We've had it on the division where people have gone, "I'm just dropping to do this. I'll be 5 minutes." We were in the middle of a raid. Some guys, "I just need to go do 5 minutes," and we're like, we've got through 3 raid bosses of the 4, and like he comes back and goes, "Oh yeah, so we're at boss 4. Did the rest without me?" It's like, well, we weren't going to wait around for 45 minutes while you weren't here, were we? You know.
We love you, Jules. We love you, boy.
We do love you. We do love you. I wonder if he'll phone you again, middle of the podcast, as he does most weeks.
Actually, he tried calling me earlier on when I was prepping for the pod, so I just ignored him.
Cool.
He'll definitely phone you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Mr. Phil, what have you been up to this week, mate?
So, top of my head, 3 things spring to mind that I've done this week. I have played quite a lot of Destiny with you because you're trying to finish up the level pass, and I was trying to just clean up some bits, level up my other 2 characters to 1250 by exploiting the season pass and spending all my little Crucible tokens that are going to be null and void as of Tuesday. So that's been my kind of
grinding.
I discovered a terribly crippling addiction to a TV show on Netflix called Blown Away, and it's basically about people that make glass sculptures, and it's like a competition. There's 10 of them, and they give them like a concept, and they have to come up with a glass sculpture, and they always break something every week, and somebody falls apart, and it's brilliant. I was like, I'll just watch it while I'm watching dinner. And before I knew it, I'd watched the entire of season 1, and I'm now like halfway through season 2. So, if you want something was mind-numbing to watch, then totally worth it.
Nice.
And then I also really noticed on Netflix they'd added a new Gundam series on there that I hadn't watched called Iron-Blooded Orphans. So that's like a good 50 episodes of anime for me to watch. And I hadn't watched any in months and months and months. So I was like, I'm going back in with the thing I love. Big robots fighting other big robots in space.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Sealed the deal.
Nice. You are a fan of that, aren't you? Definitely. Cool stuff. Well, what have I been up to? Well, as Phil said, I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. I think I was level 55, maybe, something like that on the season pass.
55, 58, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, I've only got a couple of weeks or 2.5 weeks left to max it out before the new content drops. I'll give it a go. I'll see how far I got. And I've just been power leveling it, picking up bounties and being strategic with which ones I get that I can do at the same time, and you make sure getting all the right weapons and doing. I did a second character, and I've never done stuff like that before, but I've powered through, and I think I'm now sitting with about 3 days left to go. I'm now sitting at power level 96, aren't I, Phil? I think it is.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it tipped over 96 last night when we played a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Season
Yeah.
pass over 96.
Yeah, so I'm nearly there, which is cool. So, but it's nice. I had a bit of a break from it. We've gone back in and actually playing. There's 2 new characters that me and Phil did, 2 hunter characters. We've been going back through a lot of the story content again. It's been quite fun. It's sort of quite chill and just been doing bounties and stuff. It's been a good laugh, hasn't it, mate?
Plus, all those exotics that we never got for those characters and never got to exploit and use because they just weren't in your character. Like you said, was quite enjoyable as well.
Yeah, it's got
I'm a
sort
big
of brought
fan
out.
of the stompies on the hunter.
Yeah,
you can jump so much further.
Yeah, I've got a cool helmet on my hunter that when you do a dodge, it gives you a health boost. So, which is quite handy when you're right in the thick of it, in the middle of a fight. You think, health's getting low, quick dodge, health boost, and you can leg it and get out of the way. And I can also throw a little grenade on the floor, and as I run through it, it makes me invisible, which is really handy if I have to pick Phil up if he dies or something. So that's pretty cool, really. So other than that, I've been...
when I die.
When you die, yeah. Well, we both die a fair bit. But the other thing I've been doing is, I mentioned last week at the end of the pod, I picked up an Oculus Quest 2. So I've been really playing a lot with that. Main things I've been playing is... The standard, if you haven't got this on VR, what are you doing? Is Beat Saber, because it is just the ultimate VR game. If you go into the Steam VR lobby, it's like the #1 single player game, Beat Saber. The #1 multiplayer game, Beat Saber. It's just, it's absolutely fantastic game. And it's actually, you put it on some of the harder difficulty settings, and it's actually got some songs in it that are like kind of almost like fitness things. So you can go in there and it's dodging you left and right. You're having to jump about and move around a lot. And it's got like a calorie counter type thing in it. So you can see how much exercise you're doing, because I've been sat on my backside for months now, and I can just feel myself getting fatter and fatter and fatter. So I'm going on a bit of a health kick, trying to eat better, trying to do a bit of exercise. So that's been really handy doing that, actually. Sweating buckets in that bloody thing though. But and other than that, I was playing one of the best VR games I've ever tried, which was The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners. The graphics aren't fantastic on the headset, because I mean it is still a pretty basic unit, just a headset on its own. It does look much better if you connect it to a PC, which you can do. But the gameplay itself is fantastic. It's like a proper game. You know, you kind of go through the tutorial area, you come out and you've got like a hub base where you can craft different weapons. You've got different types of kind of like bounty type things to do. There's actual story quests, and you can level your character up in that way. But the actual combat, when you go out there, having a really sharp knife, a zombie comes strolling towards you, you can grab it at its head and then just jabbing the knife in its head and pulling it back out again, or hitting it with an axe, and it's really, really good. Exploring through all these different buildings in New Orleans. Absolutely fantastic game. So if you've got VR, those 2 games I would 100% recommend to play. But yeah, that's kind of been what I've been doing. But so awesome. Yeah, who knows? Maybe once lockdown's done and we're not all victim to these viruses and stuff going around, that maybe we can all get together and have a bit of a VR party, because there ain't no party like a VR party. I don't know why I just did that. That was terrible. Anyway.
Yeah, please stop him. He's in control. It's the worst thing. We can't silence him because he's in charge.
I have the power. Yeah. So, well, I think that's about enough after that crippling, disappointing song. Let's move on to the news. So, first thing on the agenda, we have our man, Phil Harrison, Agent 47 himself, the hitman of the games industry, is at it again. What's he been doing, Chris?
Dear.
What's happened, mate?
Well, I'm not sure if he's necessarily the one behind the scope this time. Oh, of course he is, because he's just the killer, isn't he? But essentially, Google announced. I forget which day it was, but during this week they are going to shut down all of their first-party game development studios for Stadia. Essentially, I guess, sounding the death knell of Stadia across the world to say, we kind of realised this isn't working like we thought it would, and we can't really justify developing these first-party games. So we're just going to kind of quietly kill that, and then offer the technology to all of our valuable partners around the world. Oh, I mean, I know I've ragged on Stadia, and it's been an easy target, right? Because they just kept getting things horribly wrong. But this is actually really sad for a lot of the developers involved. Now, there's a lot of people who moved from high-profile positions at successful companies to come across and work for this. It was one lady, I can't remember her name, but she came across from EA, I think.
Did you mean Jade Redmond? Is it Jade Redmond?
Yes, Jade, that was it. And she moved across to Stadia, and she's now leaving again. She's not one of the people who will be redeployed by Google to other parts of the platform or other endeavors. It's just really sad to see this happen. I mean, what's worse I think for me is, everybody kept saying to them, your model sucks. No one likes this model. We like your idea, but we just don't like how you're executing this. And Google have just sort of dug their heels in and went, no, we can do this. This is going to work. It's like, no matter how many times they were told by everybody, this sucks. They were like, no, the technology's too good to fail almost, which is atypical of a lot of Google's failed endeavors. And unfortunately, it looks like Stadia is going to go the way of hashtag kill by Google. So who knows? But yeah, it's very sad to see. But I mean, I think like we said this time, we've said it, and we're not exactly a big deal, right? That the writing's been on the wall for Stadia if they didn't make a change. I mean, I've said it. I know for like three or four times on the podcast, they need to change what they're doing. And I even said, I think it was last week or the week before, it was great to see them trying something new. And then on the heels of that kind of stuff comes this, which is just like, doesn't bode well for the future. But yeah, anyway, that's the story. They are shutting down all first-party software development for Stadia.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think it's a particular surprise, like you say. I think it was. There was nothing on the horizon, no killer apps coming out. They didn't have a huge range of studios, and they clearly didn't seem to put a huge amount behind it initially. And as you say, Google aren't really known for playing the long game with these new technologies they put in. They almost want to kind of get them out there, spin them up, get them going, and if they don't go in a couple of years, they're like, it's not worth it. Just kind of knock it on the head. But what's your thoughts on the situation, Phil?
Phil, he's the man. If he can tank it, no one can.
Oh God, you're all at it tonight. Just stop already. Stop.
Phil Harrison. My thoughts on Stadia. It's been on the way down for a very long time. And I think, you said the writing's been on the wall for a while. I think it's also clear that people vote with their wallets, and they were not voting in favor of Stadia. And if, a company as big as Google, if they can't adapt and change, that doesn't bode well. They got all the money and the support in there. They could have changed that game model. They could have changed the way it works if they wanted to. They just chose not to. I think Ratley's covered kind of all the other points there. I just wanted to get another dig in at Phil Harrison. He kills everything he touches. I'm honest with you.
At this point, I'm kind of feeling sorry for Phil Harrison with the memes and everything else, because let's be honest, some of the parts that he's been a part of the failure, he's had a very tiny part of and had nothing to do with running them. So, it's a terrible meme, but if anybody ever hires him again, I kind of feel sorry for him, because look, who's going to hire the man? He's got such this reputation now that I kind of get to the point where I'm kind of like, poor Phil.
Are you kidding? I actually have a theory about Phil Harrison. He was never employed by Google.
No?
He just turned up one day.
He just turned up one day.
Sony, Microsoft, all the key competitors in there. We'll all split his wage 1/3 each. Go on, Phil. Go and help out Google. Go and sort them out with Stadia. In he comes. I'm Phil Harrison. I'm the head of Google. And everyone just went, yeah, sounds feasible. Sure, why not?
See, I think, like, surely after this track record, he's got a great future ahead of him, Alan. You haven't got to worry. He'll just be employed by companies. Go, so Phil, what's your next great idea for a games console? And I go, what we need to do is just go, right, whatever we do, we don't do that, right? Whatever he says, we're not doing it.
How much should we charge for
it?
it?
Microsoft's going to get him. Just be like
almost like a peer review process. Phil, we've got this great new idea. Have a look at this with you. I think it's brilliant. Shit, back to the drawing board.
And that time frame for Phil swearing is.
Yeah. He's done it again, boys.
He's filled it up.
He's done a Phil. I was just going to say on this topic, it seems kind of sad. You remember in the days, and I think they still do it now, the television networks, where you're watching this TV series and you think it's the best thing ever, and then it gets moved to like late Friday night at like 12 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock. It's basically being sent to the graveyard because they don't want it to succeed anymore. Even if it is successful, they move it. And that's what this move smells of to me. It's like, where do they think these game developers are going to think, right, Google Stadia is the place where we're going? Because I have heard very positive things, and I've mentioned them before, such as, people having issues with downloading big releases such as Cyberpunk and the is it Diablo 3? Not Diablo 3, Baldur's Gate 3 sort of demo or whatever it is, the freeview access, and they've gone to Google Stadia so they can stream and play it straight away. So it has its benefits, and a lot of people have very much enjoyed it. But their whole model, as you say, seems completely roundabout face. You've got big companies like Microsoft and Amazon that are actually getting the game developers out there producing games and then adding this service on top of that to back up the games that they've done. Whereas Google seem to have provided the service, started to make games, and then gone, yeah, no, we won't bother. We'll let other people make games for it, expecting the developers to suddenly go, oh, yeah, Google Stadia, that's the place for us. As I say, it seems to me they put it out in the late shift to die.
Yeah,
a death, and it's a shame.
Yeah, that's really true. I think that when you as the platform host signal your intention to not support your platform, you're doing nothing but saying, guys, just don't worry about it. It'll be gone in 2 years. Just forget about it.
It's too expensive for us to develop for this platform, but please make some games for us.
Yeah, we can't afford it. We're not seeing viable returns. But hey, Ubisoft, hey, EA, would you like to spend all your money developing for our platform that has no viable returns?
Yeah,
wicked. You say, 100% right, Alan.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, because like it's weird from the Google point of view. Like we hadn't really seen them release anything for Stadia in terms of first party. I mean, there was the Serious Sam exclusive, but there hadn't been any real first party stuff. Whereas Amazon's first party release, which wasn't the first party, it was the third party release they put out. Was it? I can't remember the name. It was that battle, not battle royale, but the shooter, the PvP shooter. I can't remember what it's called now. Arena or something silly like that.
Yeah, it slipped my mind.
You know
I know
what I mean?
exactly what I mean. The one
but that game came out. Was so badly reviewed they removed it and put it back into beta, and then shortly after that went, actually, we're just going to cancel it.
Yeah,
So I mean, Amazon's first footsteps into gaming have been pretty questionable. So let's hope that when Luna hits, I mean, I like Luna's model more. I will say this. I think Luna's got a much better model for customers. And we've talked about this before. Like if these channels are to be believed, you'll be able to subscribe to select channels. Be able to build your package and stream what you want to play. That's far more appealing than the Google Stadia model, which was pay for our service and then buy your stuff on top of it. There was no inherent value in it, and it was pretty poor, So I think, whilst Amazon may have misstepped with their game launch, I think they've got a much smarter model moving forward. But we will see how people respond to it. If it doesn't get the customers, I'm sure Amazon will go, maybe not so much, but they definitely aren't as trigger happy as Google. In terms of canning stuff.
I think for me, going forward, I think there is going to be a place for cloud gaming. And I imagine in the future it's going to be a huge deal. Are we still too early for it? Maybe. Are we approaching it in the wrong way? Most definitely. I think the ideal place that cloud gaming should sit in that market is it should be how Game Pass is in that situation where Well, Game Pass is a bad example. Let's just say, with Stadia, they did just a subscription of, whatever it may be, £5 a month, for example, and it's all maybe cheaper, smaller games, lots of them, and it then needs to be pushed out to be on as many different platforms as possible, so as many people as possible can access it. So as many TVs, as many smart sticks, as many computers, everywhere they can get it out, so that it really is going for that casual, almost like the mobile market, and I think there's a huge place for it, because somebody who's just a casual gamer who likes to have a little play for sort of half an hour on a Sunday or something like that may not want to spend 300-400 quid on a console, but they might go, £5, or like my Netflix or whatever, whack it in. They're just playing those basic games and not necessarily focusing on the large titles. And it seems a really strange time for them to kind of drop off it, because they were just starting to ride a bit of a wave of success with Cyberpunk, because everybody talking about how it was the place to play that game. It had the least bugs, it ran smoothly, it ran well.
Bring up was the Cyberpunk was the place to play, and don't forget, obviously, Google Stadia was going on to, or probably still is going on to LG TVs, the 2021, along with
if it still exists by then.
Yeah, like we talked about last week.
I don't think it's going to go. I think they've invested too much in it to just completely kill it. I think in its current form, we won't see it like this anymore. Maybe it rebrands. Maybe it's integrated more into YouTube. Who knows what it'll be?
I was going to say, I think if you look back at the start of Stadia, like there's a few things which were very telling of, I think, what Google tried to. Google have got this habit of the minute, and Microsoft did this for a little while, of trying to copy Apple, and Apple do everything so if you go into Apple services, you have to have an Apple device to access it. And when Stadia launched, and it was only on Pixel devices, which when you look at like the Android market, they're a very, very small percentage of Android phones that are out there. Samsung are obviously the lion's share of one manufacturer, but then you've got so many other brands, and Pixel is a very small percentage of the Android market share. So it felt like they were trying to replicate this Apple model where you had to have their device, and they were trying to push people to buy more devices, and that was really poor timing, because that came along, and then Xbox rolled in with Game Pass, and it was like on every Android device, and people were just like, look, why can't you put your own service across your own platform, which was Android? This is silly, this doesn't ring right. What is wrong here? What don't you get? The majority of your customers aren't on Pixel. So I think, if you look at the way where I think they thought they'd try and pull an Apple, and it kind of backfired, because Google aren't Apple, and Google's customer base go to Google because they aren't Apple. It's that freedom to have a Samsung phone and an Acer tablet, and be on all these different platforms, and change that at will. So if you were a Pixel user, but then you saw, I don't know, the Samsung Z Fold 2 and went, I want that fold-in phone, you went, I could buy it and Stadia will still work. At the point of launch, that wasn't a thing. So I think there's been a lot of missteps along the way, but that one, probably they've been stuck in that model for a thing, and then, like you say, moving it through to that premium service. It should have been far more casual, far more accessible, just a much more. And then you build on that, don't you? Like you said, then maybe you can add a premium version of Stadia which has the top tier titles, or you get like just any other. But like you said, we could go on and on forever. But I think the bottom line is, it's really sad to see Stadia, end up where it's ended up, when it was so obviously not necessary for it to be there.
Yeah.
Just as a little side bit there, I think you cut out for a second there, and I wanted to say, while Chris was talking, that actually I think Google need to have a rebrand, because I really like the name Oogle.
Oogle. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Oogle.
Oogle.
Cool.
Everybody
stuff.
get Oogle.
So, moving on to the next point of the news this week. So we've had some pretty long-awaited news, and I think. Well, I know I was really excited about it, and I know a lot of you were pretty excited about it too. But we've had announced a Mass Effect remaster that we knew was coming, but we just didn't know. Well, we sort of knew it was coming. There were so many rumours. It was like, it must be coming. It must be coming. And then we finally got an announcement. Do you want to take us through what that was all about, Phil?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, coming on May 14th, 2021, the Mass Effect Legend Dairy Edition. Oh, yes. It's going to have 4K. It's going to have 60 frames. It looks sharper if you look at the screenshots side by side on the first game. No, it does look very good. I'm very excited. And they are trying to make the game a little less controversial. There'll be less shots of Miranda's ass, apparently. However you feel about that. Happy, sad, disappointed.
She's a strong, confident woman. If she wants to show off her buttocks, she should be allowed.
Exactly.
It's a tough one for me because I was both happy and sad that we get like it was maybe a little bit gratuitous, but I was also I enjoyed those shots for some unapparent reason. I couldn't tell you why.
And we were going to get it in 4K, but now the camera's been panned up a little bit. It's more of a kind of waist upwards approach. But yeah, no joke. The first one.
Phil Thompson, the Phil Harrison of the advertising.
Yeah.
They've made it a bit better.
That's their new tagline. We've made it a bit better.
You'll probably
I feel like I've downsold the legendary edition.
Do you know what? I actually watched an IGN video today, and it was the same sentiment. They seemed very down on it, and I was trying to. So I didn't really necessarily agree with them. They were talking about the fact that it's Unreal Engine 3, not Unreal Engine 4. So obviously some of your textures are not going to be quite so good. And they were talking about, generally that they didn't feel like it was that much of an upgrade. However, they then went on to say about all the things that this company, I don't know who they are, to be honest, who've redone this. Who is it?
BioWare. It's just still BioWare.
But it's still BioWare, yeah. Yeah. So but they have done an awful lot of quality of life improvements, such as adding the same character of Miranda through all three, because I think they changed the model in number 2. Lots of things like all the menus and things have changed from number 1. Bearing in mind, this Mass Effect 1 came out in 2003? No, 2007.
Yeah.
It's 13. It's over 13 years old, with 2 coming out in 2010 and 3 2012. So even the last one is nearly 9 years old, and you can imagine how many people have not played Mass Effect. And for the bargain price of £60 with some new Flash graphics, and you get, I don't know what the 40 DLC is. I think it's just probably cosmetic items and stuff like that, which is fine.
No, there's a lot of story.
Sides missions. That is huge
Alan, I will say this.
Value.
Before we drop, just to carry on, the 40 DLC, that is a bit of a nonsense number because a lot of it they're counting individual guns as like a DLC.
Yeah,
but
that's what I meant.
It does contain Leto of the Shadow Broker, which is a DLC that is better than a lot of games I've played. It is absolutely staggering.
There you go.
It's like 9 hours of DLC or something stupid.
There you go. So for the bargain price of £60, 3 games, all of which, people disagree about which one's the best, but as a trilogy, I have to be ashamed, and I've already been shamed on tweets by Chris and many others because I played number 1. Yeah, I never finished number 2, and because I didn't finish number 2, I never played number 3. So I am definitely looking forward to Phil buying the game so I can play it as well. You're buying this one, right, Phil? Yeah. Is this your one? Yeah. Awesome. See, I knew he would.
Anyway.
Yeah. Exactly, Steve. So I knew he'd get this one. So I'm really looking forward to playing it. I'm not so keen, I have to say, on the cash super legendary Wave 2 edition at £149-150. I don't know what kind of idiot would buy that.
No,
I mean, that's just
no
a ridiculous amount of money, Chris.
You
wouldn't buy that, would you?
Do you think there's somebody here? I think somebody here might be willing to buy that. Despite the fact that we may have, suggested
Look, it's got a wearable N7 helmet. I'm not justifying it anymore. It's got a wearable N7 helmet. You can all buy it.
I want to make it perfectly clear that I suggested Chris would buy it, and he tried to deny it, knowing full well he'd bought it already, like 20 minutes before we even had the conversation.
And I'd also like to point out that Chris asked us not to say anything on the podcast, and I didn't say anything until Phil just dropped the bomb.
To make it perfectly clear, there's no bus for me to push him in front of, so I'm going to
there is a bus, mate. I ain't getting pushed in front of it.
In summation, I am really looking forward to this game, to this trilogy, and actually playing all the way through. It may not be Unreal Engine 4, but it's still going to look nicer than it did when it first came out. I think it's going to be a fantastic ride, and I am so looking forward to it. And I'm in there. I'm in there full bore, boys.
100%, mate. Nice. Definitely. I was just going to say,
go on.
I'm so hyped for it. I mean, I've played through the first multiple times, probably 4 or 5 times now. The second one I've played through at least twice. The third one at least twice, and it's been a long enough time
Show
now.
off.
Oh mate, no, I love that. Absolutely love that series, as I know many do.
I think you've been slacking.
Yeah.
That's not enough times.
And so
Not
yeah,
enough.
it's that time now where I'm ready to play through it all again, and to play through it all upgraded to those 4K graphics with all those textures going through the filter. I mean, they've been in between sort of 4 times and 16 times upscaled texturing, better lighting effects, and as you mentioned before, having Fem Shep, she's been upgraded all the way through, so she's consistent right the way through the game where she wasn't before. Gameplay improvements in the first one, because that's the real sticking point. Number 2 and number 3, from a gameplay perspective, I think still can just about hold up.
Yeah.
They still play well, but the first one, it was just too old. It was too clunky. It was never that great to begin with. It was just the story was so amazing in that game.
Yeah.
But the actual gunplay was never great. And I actually used to go back, when I did go back to that one, I would stick it on easy and just almost kind of breeze through the combat, have a bit of a laugh, feeling like a super soldier, taking a bunch of people down, just so I could go through and play that story, because that is what I wanted. I want the kick from the story. But to be actually go through and play it properly again, I'm so buzzing for it. It's going to be, I'm so ready.
The only caveat that I haven't mentioned, actually, because I was waiting for one of you to mention, is that if people aren't aware, they aren't porting across the multiplayer, which is available on number 3.
Yeah.
But to me, to be honest, that's no great loss. I'm not that worried.
The multiplayer was good.
The reality of that, I think the reality of that is that you've got Mass Effect Andromeda, which you can pick up for £3-4, or it's on EA Access or Game Pass, and the multiplayer for that is better than 3 because it's an advancement on it.
Yeah, it's the same thing but better, essentially. Yeah, I'd agree with Phil 100% on that. I mean, like, talking about this, like you said, Craig, like, my feelings on Mass Effect. For people who don't know, I have N7 tattooed on the back of my neck. I have a Paragon and Renegade tattoo here. My left and right triggers were done at the same time as that, because they are.
Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off.
Nobody, trust me, nobody wants to see that, Alan.
Also, I think we were trying to keep the PG rating, and I'm already doing enough work to can that one. So I think Chris doing a Mass Effect striptease on camera might probably push us out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, you could say I'm looking forward to this, but I mean, like, the like you said, like they're doing all the DLC from all the games as well, which is nice, bar one, which is Pinnacle Station. And I didn't realize this, but the Pinnacle Station never appeared on the PlayStation version of it either, PlayStation 3, because apparently the core data of Pinnacle Station became corrupted and they couldn't recover it. And so Pinnacle Station won't feature in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now, let me just say, if you've not played Pinnacle Station DLC from Mass Effect 1, you're really not missing out.
No.
It's
basically a glorified
really
shooting
crap.
gallery, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awful. So there were 2 pieces of DLC for Mass Effect 1, Bring Down the Sky, which was actually really good. It had a nice story element to it. It had a nice the classic Mass Effect moral choice in it.
Was that without
really
spoilers? Was that set on an asteroid?
Batarians.
Yes.
Yeah, it was all to do with Batarian.
Yeah. Yeah, but so yeah, and then we had in Mass Effect 2, we had what has been argued about as one of the greatest piece of DLC ever made, which is the Layer of the Shadow Broker, which honestly, like, I remember being pumped for it when it came out, and then playing it and being like, this is just insane. Like, the scope of that DLC and the story impact on that DLC is epic. It totally, like, just totally comes out of nowhere and just delivers this story, like, which is just wow. And I mean, so if you've played Mass Effect, you know all about the relationships you build with your crew. And for me in Mass Effect 1, I always ended up romancing Liara as a matter of choice. Liara was always my go-to space bae. And when Mass Effect 2 rolled around, they took Liara away. I was very disappointed until they replaced it with Miranda. And I was like, okay, Miranda's cool. I can dig with Miranda. We're feeling good here. Yeah. I was like, exactly right. It's like, and then I got to the end of Mass Effect 2, completed the Day of Shadowbroker DLC, and it reintroduced Liara. And I felt so guilty about having romanced Miranda. I had to go back and replay Mass Effect 2 and undo that decision so that I could just be cool with Liara. I had actual guilt about it. Like, I'm like, this is terrible. So, I mean, to say, like, I'm excited for replaying, reconnecting with those characters is an understatement. And I know that the ending of Mass Effect 3 was hugely controversial, and I still maintain that until that last section, it's basically one of the best games I've ever played. It's like, doesn't put a foot wrong until that point. And I just cannot wait to see this in better graphics. I mean, the PC community has been doing this to Mass Effect for years. Some of the modding in the PC community for Mass Effect is unbelievable. And I think that only comes
That's
out of a love of a game
dark
like this.
well to go down if you start doing that. That's how you start
if you
making
get
your graphics card cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just so looking forward to it. And I think that like there's some great stuff to be had. I mean, again, I'll give the fun stat on Mass Effect 3 is I don't cry at movies, right? I'm one of those guys. I'm not trying to be all macho and tough. It just they don't really hit me hard enough. One film did it to me. I think one film I know has made me cry. I can remember, and that was Schindler's List. And boy, did it destroy me. Very different film to most. But people were like, say, watch this. It will really upset you. And I just sit at the end and go, I get a little welled up. I get a little emotional, but I don't cry, right? So I'm seems like I'm a heartless swine, but I'm not. Mass Effect 3 reduced me to tears on 3 occasions. Like literally one of them, I was an absolute blubbering mess. Like I had to stop playing for like 30 minutes because I just couldn't see past the tears. I was just so upset. I won't obviously say what happens, but it's just, oh my God, there is a moment. And then there was another moment where I just started crying because of something that I thought would happen. Then it didn't happen. And I was literally out of my seat, jumping in the air, fist bumping with joy because I was so pleased that the thing that was about to upset me hadn't happened. And this other thing had happened. And I was like, yay! So if you've not played Mass Effect and you're at all interested in RPGs and especially science fiction stuff, you really won't regret your time with Mass Effect. It is just exquisite.
It's
it
an
really
epic.
is just
It's
amazing.
an epic, definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a space opera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
And
is.
the Mako's getting reworked, so it won't be the most irritating car vehicle
Yes.
in the world ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the Mako was, as much as I love it, it holds a special place in my heart.
I love the Mako.
God, that thing sucked.
When you do your little boost in it, just bouncing off rocks
The best bit of the
everywhere.
Mako was where you'd be like, I've got to get over that mountain to get to the other side. Now, I could drive round it, and that mountain is basically a sheer cliff. What am I going to do? I'm going to drive the Mako up it. Why? Because I can.
Yeah.
That would totally be the way you do it. It wouldn't be, I'll drive around. It's like, I'm going over it. It would take you 4 times as long to go over it.
Yeah.
But you're still going
Still
over
gonna
it.
do it.
That's
Yeah.
what you're doing.
That's it. Yeah.
It's called the Skyrim effect.
Yeah, that's it. If I can, I'm going to see if I can. It's quality stuff. Yeah, $59.99 you said for the game. If you've got Game Pass though, you get the EA Access discount, so you get it for $53.99 digitally, which is good. Which I hadn't actually noticed really because I've not looked or noticed before because I've not looked at any EA games to purchase because I don't purchase many of them, I suppose. When I looked on that one, I thought, discount straight away. So bargain if you are a Game Pass subscriber.
Better still, if you've got 50 quid in your Xbox account and your Microsoft Rewards account, it's even cheaper.
Well, yeah. Have you got 50 quid in your account, have you?
If your game share other player buys it for you, even cheaper.
Yeah, that ain't going to happen for me.
Thanks, Bill. No, sorry about that.
It is
Greg.
not.
No.
I've got some Xbox credit that I can chip towards this one. I did that auto renewal on the point subscriber, so you can get your £5 for slightly cheaper than if you go in and just pick it. So that's a bit of a bonus too. So I've built up a nice tenner in that for the last 2 months.
Yes, well worth doing. Yeah,
Actually,
that's quite a good point. Actually, that if people out there, if they don't do it already, make sure you sign up to Microsoft Rewards because you basically get points for purchasing stuff you'd buy anyway. You get points for doing things within Game Pass. You get points for playing games, getting achievements. There's loads of ways you can get different points. Using Bing, there's loads of different, and actually some of them were quite fun little challenges to do. And they did one in January where you could, if you scored up to 10,000 gamer score, you could get up to 10,000 reward points. So effectively, any game score you got was converted straight over. And I think it's 5,500 is £5 if you do it on the auto renewal, isn't it, Phil? It's basically free money for stuff you were going to do anyway. Sometimes within Game Pass, particularly when they have the quests in there, I've found that I've kind of been on a bit of a hit going, I just want to kind of get it up to that 5,000 mark again. And I've been sort of going through and I think, I could go into this game and get, like Halo 5, for example, there was one to get 10 multiplayer kills. I thought, why not? So I installed Halo 5 again, jumped on, got into multiplayer, played a couple of games. I got it in the first game, the 10 kills, but I ended up playing it probably for another week. I was just going in, jumping in, playing a bit more Halo 5 again. And that's also how I've started playing, I know I've said before in some of the other episodes, some quite random Game Pass games that I wouldn't normally pick up because I've seen them on these quests. I thought, I'll give it a go. I'll get some points as well while I try it out. And you can find some real gems doing it. Definitely worth it.
I think it's also important to point out here,
system, isn't it?
Craig has 900 meg broadband, so he can just download Halo 5, hop on, for a multiplayer game. For me, that's like, a nightly download. And for Ratley, he has to plan that a week ahead into his calendar and then make sure he doesn't stream anything on Netflix if he wants to get it that week. Because Halo 5 is 105 gig, I think?
Something like that,
Thanks,
yeah.
dude.
I did actually, the other night.
I'll just download that.
Yeah, the other night, my mate Andy Ritzimer, he said, "Oh, do you want to play a bit of Call of Duty? There's a new mode on it." I thought, "Oh yeah, go on then, let's have a go." I said, "Oh, I haven't got it downloaded." He goes, "Oh, we won't be playing that tonight then." I said, "Don't worry about that, mate." 25 minutes later, boom, Modern Warfare.
You're like, hold on, let me just flex this a bit. Oh, let me just flex a bit. Oh.
Yeah, no, so I'll shut up now because I know it's a point of contention with everyone. I feel like I'll get it stoned every time I talk about my 900 meg.
If you weren't so pretty, we'd hate you.
Oh, stop it.
And we weren't, and we weren't in
That's your reason
lockdown
we're not hating him.
well.
I guess. It's brilliant.
Cool, right. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for the news. Not a huge amount gone on this week. So move on to our talking point for the week. So it's this one, Control. I don't know, guys, if you guys have played Control. The Ultimate Edition has been in the news recently. It's thanks to it's been on a PS Plus release. The game's been running really well on PS5 and on the Xbox Series consoles as well. So it's got the option for 60 frames per second mode, or you can have 30 frames per second with ray tracing, and that's on both Series X and PS5. I think we all know, and we've talked about before on this, that ray tracing is obviously it's the future in graphics technology. It's amazing the way it looks, but it's a very, very expensive resource. Meaning that it pulls a lot of performance away from the graphics processor of the unit. So, I guess the kind of question and the talking point really is, this one's coming from Ratley actually, is that where do you think that the real next gen experience lies? Is it in better frame rates or is it better graphics? Will software optimization in the future make a difference long term? I guess it's which way would you want to go on it, I suppose. So I think with this one, initially on the kind of techie stuff, I'm probably going to go to Phil, and Phil and Ratley.
So,
and I think, I don't know.
Before they start, let me just get ready. I'm just
there we go. You just
got the Switch. I've just got some Diablo 3 here on this Switch. I'm just going to use my barbarian. I'll be fine. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
We'll come to you afterwards.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, go on, Phil.
Right.
What are your thoughts on this then?
Oh, what are my thoughts? Yeah. When they did the whole ray tracing's come in and you get 30 frames of ray tracing, particularly Watch Dogs was the first game that we saw it in. I was like, yes, this looks great. And then I started going back and playing games in 60 frames. For me, I'm now very much converted over into the performance side of the sort of equation. I like the pretty lighting and the extra smoke effects that you get with it and the real-time ray traced shadows. Looks great, but actually I am finding now I just really appreciate that smoother frame rate. And it takes me back to the time with the original Xbox One where I'd start playing games and buying games on my PC. When Witcher 3 came out, I had a choice of Xbox or PC, and I went to PC because I could get the 60 frames on there without too much in the way of compromise of graphics. So yeah, I mean, for me, I would prefer to go down the performance route. Obviously, I'd like to have my cake and eat it. So realistically, what I want them to do is get to the point where I get my 60 frames and I get more ray tracing. And I'm pretty sure I know how they can do it. But I figured I'd let Ratley get his opinion in first, and then we can go back and I can give you my wild theories.
Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of I'm in a real quandary right now, because if you'd have asked me 3 weeks ago, how do I feel about it? I'd been like, yeah, bring me the ray tracing. I want it to look as good as possible, right? And I think there's going to, let me caveat this as well, because I think there's going to be future titles where ray tracing will be key to it. I love Sea of Thieves at 60 FPS, but if Sea of Thieves had ray tracing, what's already stunningly beautiful would be just so much better. That ray tracing off the waves and everything would be it'd be mental. I mean, that must be the most insane idea of resource management you'd ever have to do to make that thing work with ray tracing. But imagine that underwater with proper ray trace shadows. That'd be beautiful beyond belief, right? Sea of Thieves is a pretty game anyway. Put that on top of it, it'd be like, oh dear, it'd be all kinds of wow. But I think before as I mentioned, the Division 2 had a 60 FPS patch this week, and I've played the upgrades. I think I mentioned it when we were talking about Cyberpunk early doors. In that when I was playing Cyberpunk, I had it on. I think we mentioned it on the pod actually. I know we did it on the group chat. Like I loved the 60 frames option, even though it wasn't solid 60 frames. Just the higher frame rate made the game much more enjoyable. I mean, yeah, it had graphical issues at that point, but the frame rate was just so much nicer to be in that frame rate. And I've never really appreciated it because I never really had it. Do you know what I mean? It's like that frame rate's been something which I've just kind of like, whatever, I'm happy with 30 frames because I've always been happy with 30 frames. And the 60 FPS titles were so few and far between on console, I didn't really care. But after the Division 2 patch, and after having spent time in a game where I've spent a lot of hours in the Division, and to have that come along and be 60 FPS now, and for me to be able to feel and really experience that tangible performance increase that I get playing it as well. Like I'm hitting more headshots, I'm doing more damage 100%. It's definitely playing better, and it even looks better. I've said this to you guys earlier, I think before we started recording. I swear they haven't done a graphical upgrade. It's just the 4K 60, but because I think it's because it's getting twice the frames, we get less blur and it looks sharper, it looks nicer. And like I say, I'm landing more shots, I'm doing this, that, and the other, and so it's kind of really made me rethink my position. And I've got to be honest, I maybe think that performance is where we should be focusing our efforts. And if we can get ray tracing as well, great. Because let's pretend it's not impossible, right? I mean, if you go full on mega ray tracing, I don't think I know these boxes haven't necessarily got the power right now to do that. There is some things maybe which might come along in a little while, which could potentially help that. So like I know that we haven't got, like Nvidia obviously have their version or their DLSS.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
And AMD's haven't come along yet. So maybe and Phil will be much better versed on this than I am. So I'm just going to touch on it. Maybe at that point we'll. But just on a tangent, Spider-Man on PS5 came out and it had a 30 frames per second ray tracing mode and it had a 60 frames per second performance mode. And the big difference was you've got no ray tracing, you've got 60 FPS, and then there was ray tracing with 30 FPS. Cool. Miles Morales, it looked great. And everyone said it plays great, it looks great. And then about 2 months after launch, I went, oh, cheeky, here's a 60 FPS ray tracing mode. And everyone went, come again? And they're like, yeah, got ray tracing and 60 FPS. And they did some really clever technical behind the scenes stuff, which on close inspection really hurts the ray trace effect. But on a game like Spider-Man, where it's so kinetic and you're always moving, you wouldn't be able to tell a blind bit of difference in motion. And I think maybe there's going to be a clever software compromise on this, along with some hardware some software tweaks to the hardware, which will come from like AMD and stuff that will help it no end. But I think I'm kind of egging towards now performance over graphical prowess. Don't get me wrong, I don't want it to look like pixel art. If it's supposed to look, like if the Division suddenly went, hey, it's 4K 60 FPS, but we've downgraded everything to 900p assets. So it's just like I'd be like, what the hell, boys? That doesn't. I wouldn't have been happy with that. But to give me more performance with the same thing I was already happy with, definitely, more performance is definitely. I've definitely had my eyes open to that 60 FPS thing, and it is very much true what they say. That difference between 30 and 60 is huge. I cannot get over it.
Yeah, I had the same experience on a very similar type game because as people who watch and listen know, I'm more of a Destiny man and Ratley's obviously more of a Division man. But the same thing happened with Destiny a couple of months ago now, where they dropped the patch and it was 4K, it was 60 frames a second, had the ability to be able to widen the viewing angle and everything, the field of view, on it, and it just absolutely transformed the game. It looked like the image looked deeper, it looked like it had an upscale in terms of resolution, which it hadn't, but yeah, it was the smoothness of the game. And once you've been playing a 60 frame per second game for even just a one evening, you go back to a 30 frames per second game and it's oh my word, it's like so hard to play. I did it very, very early on in the early days. I had Destiny 2, I'd installed it on my PC, and it was running at 60 frames fine on the PC. It's just always been unlocked on the PC. So I had a little evening playing on that, and then I went back to my Xbox when it was on 30, and it took me a good hour to get used to it again. It almost ruined the experience.
Eyes feel like they're bleeding.
Yeah, totally.
It's like when your character turns or they're running through sludge.
Yeah, that's it.
You just can't move as quickly.
Even just down to when you're playing multiplayer, for example, if you're in the Crucible, with the narrow viewing angle and the 30 frames a second, if you've got an opponent in front of you, not too far away, because you're getting so few frames on the screen, if they go left or right, sometimes you can't even tell which way they've gone. They just kind of vanish behind you, and you're sort of spinning around. Before you know it, you've been shot in the back of the head. But with the wider viewing angle and them moving more kinetically, you can really track your targets a lot better. So that's just
give it 2 or 3 seconds before the 13-year-old shoots you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. At least you get a few shots in them rather than none at all. You don't just get executed in the back of the head. I think before we go on to Phil's more technical bit, what's your thoughts on the whole smoothness versus prettiness, Mr. Allen?
Okay, so the Control is yet another game that I'm ashamed to have not finished, but I certainly played it quite a lot when it first came out, and I have to say, I thought it was a particularly attractive game to start off with, and some of like the central area, the physics of all the destructible, the paper, and everything else, the amount of stuff going on the screen, and sometimes is just phenomenal, and it is for me already a very pretty game. Now, just so I'm clear on this point, ray tracing, that's light reflections and things like that, yeah?
Yeah, real-time lighting and real-time reflection.
Exactly, just so I'm not talking complete cobblers. So I have seen that some I've watched the Digital Foundry video, and I have to say, yes, it looks amazing. You've got these lights coming out of the windows, and they're coming down on the floor, and it looks fantastic. And I'm thinking, yeah, it looks amazing, but when I looked at it when it came out before it was remastered or whatever, it looked amazing before. I thought this is a absolutely fantastic aesthetic in the game. I thought it looked beautiful, and therefore I've just looked on the store, and it's £35. You can get the original one in Game Pass for free. Why would I spend money to get better reflections? It just seems totally pointless to me. I have absolutely no interest in getting the update. It looks nicer. Yeah, it looked nice before. I didn't look at Control and go, well, that's an ugly game. They did a bit of a sad job on the graphics in Control. They certainly didn't. It looks awesome, and it's visually stunning. So having the update means nothing to me whatsoever. In terms of performance versus the graphical quality, I've said this many times before. Yes, I like a pretty game, but gameplay to me is the more important attribute to any game. I will forgive poor graphics over a great game and gameplay mechanics rather than great beautiful graphics, but I do appreciate and admire a very pretty game at the same time. And when it comes to frames per second, I'm not quite in the same. In fact, I'm in the totally opposite camp when it comes to jumping on 60 frames a second and going back to 30 frames a second and say, I can't play it. I don't feel that at all, and it just confuses me. I just think, blimey, you're being a bit dramatic, to be perfectly frank with you. Really, it's a bit like, I can't drive my Mini because I drove a Porsche once. I mean, it's a bit dramatic in my opinion, but that's just my opinion, my friend.
Yeah, I was just going to touching on something you mentioned with Control. There was actually a real bone of contention in terms of the Ultimate Edition when that first got announced, because people who'd bought the original game and had bought all the DLC for it, when they announced that they were going to do an update for the Series X and S and PS5 consoles, everyone was like, "Oh, great stuff, wicked." No. Even if you bought that game and all the DLC, you have to buy it again purely then for the upgrade. Now, I can almost see, for example, like for me, I mean, I bought the game cheap, and I played through it, really enjoyed it. I never bought the DLC. So actually, if I thought, I'd quite like to play through the DLC, if the price came down to that maybe £25 mark with a Series X update, I go, you know what, maybe it's worth doing it, almost like buying a bundle for the season pass. But it's one of them rare games where they've gone kind of down the Activision route, where they've gone, you know what, we've stuck a bit of work in this, which I kind of get. We stuck work in this, we're going to charge you again for it. But whereas, say, Activision with like Call of Duty for the Series X version have gone, it's an extra £5 for the upgraded version. They've turned around and just gone, actually, no, you just have to buy the whole thing again. And it's a bit like, whoa.
So, to be fair, Craig, I was going to bring it up because the truth is, like, Control had been one of those games that I knew I wasn't going to pay full up money for, and it's not meant as a thing to buy, but I had other things to buy, right? And I was very interested in Control, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I think we talked about it offline as well. And then the news dropped that Ultimate Edition was going to be basically fleecing people who'd already bought it to get an upgrade to the Series X or Series S version. And it instantly in my mind, I went, and that means you don't get my money because it's a really crappy business practice.
Vote with your
and then when they put it on Game Pass, like, well, Yeah, I was exactly that, and I went maybe I'll check it out now. It's on Game Pass, and then what you're saying about the PS Plus thing releases, because this also is a real bone of contention that people have pre-ordered and paid for Control Ultimate Edition for their PS5, and then it drops, and like a week later, it's like, hey, here it is for free, and everyone just went, are you having a laugh? So all the PlayStation owners have currently gone absolutely nuts and gone, I want my money back.
Bad.
Of course, they're getting told you can't have a refund because Sony don't do refunds. But it just feels like Remedy have just it's like, talk about digging your own grave with this one. It's like, it absolutely, I mean, it's not the point in question, but like absolutely unbelievable that they could think they could get away with this and then do this again after already being ripped to shreds.
I would probably say though, it's probably not Remedy. It'll be whoever's published it. Will be
possibly.
It'll be the publisher.
That's probably very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But which is really sad for Remedy, to be fair. Is it 2K actually? It's 2K, isn't it, who published this?
Possibly. I can't remember.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is.
And if it's 2K, just look what they did with 2K. Was it NBA 2K? Like, if you've seen that, then the fact they're trying to monopolize money is no surprise, right?
Yeah. So back to the tech specs. Don't know if you want to pick your Switch up again, mate. Back to.
I'm back in, mate. I've contributed to that. I've insulted everybody in the group.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Diablo.
Back to Phil's technical lesson on deep learning super sampling.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. So obviously we've talked about NVIDIA has their available DLSS, and it just basically takes a lower resolution version of the game, so a less pretty, slightly more blurry version, then uses AI to upsample it. And because it's using a lower res version, you get more frames per second, more bang for your buck, so to speak. AMD have their super sampling in development. The graphics cards for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are AMD cards. They're based on their RDNA 2.0 or in the PlayStation 1.5 and then effectively full 2.0 in the Xbox. So it's very feasible that once AMD release that onto their cards, they'll quite easily be able to kind of install that into your box with a software update, and then they can start using that technology to improve those frame rates. And I think that's the point that we then see this upgrade where we get the 60 frames and we get the full real-time ray tracing in there, and that's when the graphics kind of hits the pinnacle of what they've promised.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's actually a really exciting concept that they can release this box with its 12 teraflops of performance power, and they can do everything they can with that performance. If they're using the older like rasterization, they call it, for generating the graphics in it, they're really powerful boxes. They can do 4K, they can do 60. It's great, but the ray tracing is just a bit too intensive. The fact that in 2 years' time they can turn around and download just a software patch on there, and suddenly the performance of your box increases by potentially like doubling your frame rates from 30 to 60. That's like a 50% increase in the number of frames you get.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's great news.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we've got to remember we are in the infancy of this console cycle. I always kind of say to people, you've got to kind of put it into context. Go back to the Xbox 360 and take Perfect Dark Zero, and then take GTA 5.
GTA 5.
There is no comparison.
Halo 4, mate. Halo 4.
Yeah, Halo 4. Yeah, there you go. You look at the Xbox One, take something like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and then Red Dead Redemption 2. The graphics, again, they're nowhere near, and they are just 6-7 years apart. So we're still not even, we're not even 6 months into this console cycle. So we're just getting these kind of little iterative, like, upgrades, these nice little bits, until we start to see these real developed titles going forward. Really optimized stuff. Yeah, exactly. That's
for the console,
And wow, what is it going to look like? I mean, wow, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Well, we just got to wait for Forza 8, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
Forza 8 will be the one
to come, right? And like we've talked about this before. I know, things, but you were saying just like the difference between beginning and the end. You think about how much like driver optimization is going to go on in that time as well. So they managed to cut corners and optimize tasks that each device has to do, and we've got hardware doing some of that now. So they're going to be able to like squeeze that harder as well to do transmission. Everything's going to get smooth. Everything's going to get faster, and it's just going to look. Like you say, Craig, it's going to look wow.
Yeah.
In 6 years, we're going to be sitting there going, wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But for my final point, I just want to say is that at the end of the day, Control is a fantastic, fun, interesting game. And if you want to play it, get it on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Don't buy Remedy's hash out new optimized version and give them more money. Just go and get Game Pass. Go and play it on there. You won't regret it. It's a great game. Really is.
Yeah.
It's not Remedy you don't want to give the money to. It's the publisher that
You know what? Yeah. You're right.
dirty
You're right.
games.
I want Remedy to keep getting money. Maybe they'll make another Alan Wake game.
Oh yeah,
Wait, Alan, did you know there was an Alan Wake tie-in on Control? There's one of the DLCs.
Yes, I found it. Yeah, it's all an interconnected world. Yeah, I've seen some of the.
But they did a whole DLC for it, not just as Easter eggs. They did a whole DLC.
Oh no, I've not played that. No, because I never finished.
Yeah,
the
there's a
main
whole
game,
DLC mate that links to properly, and it's a whole story thing. So
Sweet.
I didn't know if you'd done that, so you might want to check that out, mate.
Yeah,
Which is
I will do.
That's the thing that's been kind of drawing me back towards it, but I'm just like, which way do I go with it? Anyway, I think that's a great place to finish on that. So that brings us inevitably to the final phase of the podcast. It's the quiz. It's the quiz.
It's the quiz.
It's the quiz. Quiz. All right, so I have. It's a bit of a new quiz. It's inspired from another podcast, from the IGN UK podcast. Somebody had sent a quiz in there, so it's very much inspired from that. I have tested this out earlier on a couple of work colleagues. They quite enjoyed it, and one of my colleagues, I'll give her a shout out, Emily, if she ever watches it again, because she has watched one of the episodes. She got a particularly good score on one of the questions. Okay. So, I'll tell you the rules. So we don't need a buzzer this week. So effectively, I have got 5 things that I'm going to talk about. Okay. So the first one, when we start out, what you need to do is you need to be able to guess. How do I explain this properly? You know what? I'm just going to give you the first tile because it's going to be easier rather than me trying to think something off the top of my head. So the first question is going to be Mass Effect series companions. Okay, there are 22 in total. Okay, and what you have to do is you have to name as many of those as you can. Now this works in a bit of a blackjack scenario. So I'm going to go round the room. I'm going to go round the room. I am going to ask each of you to give me a number of how many you can guess. The next person either has to up that ante or they have to go bust. If you go bust, you're out. Whoever comes out with the highest number that they can think of off the top of their head, they then have to read them out and justify that they can actually do it. If they get all of that number, say 10 of them, they will win the point. If they don't get it and they fail and they run out of time, then the points go to the other two. So it's a bit of a gamble. Are you ready for this, boys?
No.
No.
Dreading this.
I've not made them too hard. It's not going to be too hard. So
That's only because Ratley's going to have to say 22.
yeah. Right, okay, so for the first one I said Mass Effect series companions. There is a total of 22. So I'm going to start with Ratley. How many can you name?
I'm going to open with a bid of 7.
7 from Ratley. Okay, so I'm going to move around to Alan. How many can you name? Or are you going to go bust? None. You going bust straight away?
What you were looking for was bust.
Bust
Straight out the gate, mate.
No worries. You could still win a point though, because if Ratley bids too high or Phil bids too high, and they lose it, you're going to get a point for it. Okay. So Phil,
And I've got a feeling Phil's going to try and bid me up here.
so how many can you go?
Yeah,
So,
I reckon I could name. I'm going to go 12.
so
I
12.
think I comfortably name. I think I comfortably
Big
name 12.
numbers.
Right, 12 from Phil.
I'm still
Ratley,
missing 10.
are you
I
gonna
take it by
open?
companion we mean someone who actually you adventure with, not just
One of your
NPCs on the
companions.
ship,
No,
right?
one of your companions from the three games in the series. Sorry, I should have said that. It's not Andromeda.
Oh, okay. So
Sorry,
it's the
yeah.
original trilogy.
Yeah.
It's all right. We've all put that to bed, haven't we? I
Yeah.
can't remember anybody from that.
Go on, Ratley.
Gosh.
I need a number from you.
I'm going to let Phil go with 12.
Right. Okay.
Ooh.
Step up to the hot plate, Phil.
Ooh.
Are you
Okay,
ready?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Go.
So, Caden,
Caden.
Ashley,
Yeah. Hold on. I need to mark these down. Caden. Yeah.
I'm counting.
Ashley. Yeah.
Rex, Garrus,
Yeah.
Garrus,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Liara.
Gareth's definitely in there.
Liara. Yeah.
Yep.
That's 4 so
I
far.
think
5. Sorry.
Talk about I'm
5.
going to go 2. So Jack, Legion,
Jack. Legion. Yeah.
Miranda.
Yeah. That's 8.
Oh, I've already said Liara, haven't I?
You have, yeah.
Yep. Yes.
I have said Liara. Oh, I'm
4 more to
regretting
go.
this now.
4 more to go.
One more to go. Hang on a sec. Let me move to 3. Who do we add in 3?
Right.
Zane.
Zayn.
Zaid, sorry.
Zaid, yes.
Zaid, not Zane. Zaid. And then there was the
You're very close to
Drell
Zane. I'll give you that.
Assassin. Sorry?
Say that again,
Zane
Phil.
is very close, but not quite right.
Why are you helping him?
It's the Drell Assassin. I can't remember his name.
You're going to kick yourself.
Evie from 3. So Evie
Evie, yeah.
is the AI.
Evie, no.
No.
Dr. Evie was the name that she took over the robot from, wasn't it?
Mate, I'm going to have to start pushing you on 9. You've got 3 more to get.
Oh.
Come on, man.
A sec. Going back to... I haven't done anything. I haven't done much from 3.
Seth
Who else
Green.
have I missed?
Seth Green.
Kasumi.
Kasumi, yes.
Kasumi was another one.
That's 10.
Grunt from 3. The other
Yeah.
Krogan.
Mm-hmm.
He's from 2, technically.
So you need
was
one
it
more.
2? Okay.
You need one more.
Connors. He was in the first...
Connors?
He was right at the start. He gets shot, yeah. It's the kid that gets shot at the start.
No.
He's just making names up now.
No, Phil.
Nah.
Mate.
They didn't put him in there. Okay. He definitely was in your party, but he dies really quickly. And then you get him replaced
I'm
by
not sure
Ashley.
it's called Connors either, but yeah, I know the guy you mean.
Mate.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Fail. Unlucky,
I've
mate.
never
Unlucky
wanted Phil to fail so much before.
That was so close, mate.
I was rooting for you, Phil.
I'm literally
Yeah.
going to think of another one in like
Joker.
So you've got
Joker?
Uh,
Thane was who you were
No,
missing
Joker
on the,
was-
the
Joker
Drell
wasn't.
Assassin?
Thane
Yeah.
was who I was trying to think
Joker's not a companion, is he? Not one
No,
of your
he just
companions.
flies.
It kind of is, but yeah.
But you can't
I can see
go
what
on
you're
missions
saying.
with
I can
him,
see
yeah.
what you're saying.
So you've got the
I
other
can
ones
see
you could have
that.
had was Arya,
Jacob.
Jacob,
Jacob.
Yeah.
Edie, not Evie.
Oh, Edie.
Yeah,
Fuck's
Jacob, James Vega, Javik. What else we got? Morden Solis,
Can't believe you didn't
Samara.
get Morden, man.
Yeah,
Didn't get more.
Talia Zora, Thane obviously as well.
Tally,
so,
yeah. Didn't get Tally.
Tally, yeah. But that was a good effort though, mate.
I mean,
was
to
a
be
really good
fair,
one.
you got 11 names, mate. You didn't get the point, but still 11. That was
Yeah,
pretty
I
impressive.
got to be honest, Phil.
Stress of being in the hot seat.
Yeah, it is hard in the hot seat, definitely. Oh, we lost Ratley. We'll wait for him to come back. Hopefully, he'll ping back real quick.
Right.
Yeah. And here he comes back again. So, yeah, that means that Alan gets 1 point and Chris gets 1 point too. So,
Why, thank you very much.
Yeah, points for
Minimum
very little
effort,
work.
maximum return.
Right, the next one we have is Street Fighter 2 characters. There is 12 characters that are available. And I am going to start with Alan first. How many Street Fighter 2 characters can you name, Alan?
Bust.
But already, you can't name any Street Fighter 2 characters.
Yeah, never played it.
Oh, oh no. Don't worry, there's ones in here you'll definitely be able to do, mate. It's all right. Okay, Phil next.
I'm
How
on
many
one
can you name?
point. I don't mind.
Yeah.
This is where Alan ends up winning and he busts on everyone. So you got 5, are you?
I can name 5.
5,
comfortably.
okay. Right, we're going to raise or are you going to go bust, Ratley?
I'll go 6.
6.
Ooh, it's getting hot. in
Back
here.
to Phil. He's
do I
laid
wanna
down the
put the rest
gauntlet.
I'm gonna say 7 then.
Going to go 7. Ratley, can you push another one?
Brass testicles.
Are we doing just standard Street Fighter 2? It's the standard Street Fighter 2.
Standard
it's not
Street
any-
Fighter 2, yeah.
Just trying to remember who's in Street Fighter
And
2.
actually, I
who's in
think
the
if we win
stupid
it, if the
championship.
person wins it, I think they get 2 points. I think it's only fair they'll get 2 points if they can do it. Do you reckon?
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
fair.
that sounds
Yeah, I
reasonable.
think it's right.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so you're going to do it? Or
How many
not?
did you say, Phil? You
7.
said 7, didn't you?
7, yeah.
Let's go 8.
8. Ooh! Phil, are you going to up that or are you going to go bust? Can you do 9?
Trying to think them through in my head right now.
Come on, I need an answer, man. Phil doesn't look like the kind of man who's going to back down from that kind of number. But is Ratley trying to push him up too high?
He's never backed down from a corner, so he'll not back down for this.
Need an answer, Phil? Need an answer now?
No, go on. I'll let Ratley do it because I can think of 7 comfortably, but I think I'd just be giving them points.
Right. So you just that was it 9? Sorry, you did, or 8 there, Ratley?
8, wasn't it?
8. Okay, right. Go for it.
So Ryu, Ken, Sagat,
Ken,
Vega,
yeah,
Dalsim, E Honda, Chun Li, and Guile.
Guile. That's 8. Look at that. Bang. Knocked it out of the park.
You know what? There's 2 there that you mentioned that I didn't think of as well, so I probably could have gone 9, but I didn't think of those.
What were the other ones then, Phil?
Who was the boxer? Bullrog was the boxer.
You didn't say Bison.
Yeah.
I did say Bison.
No,
Bison was like the 3rd one I mentioned, I think.
No, you
didn't say
Oh, I
Bison.
thought I did. So yeah, Bison was in there. I said Sagat, didn't I? Yeah, Bison was in there.
You said Sagat instead.
Bullrog was the boxer, but I don't think he was in the original Street Fighter, was he?
Yeah. So
So
Bullrog,
fun fact,
Blanca,
They
Bison,
No, I didn't say,
and
Blanca
Zangief.
was the other one I didn't mention.
So
Could have done.
Vega,
Yeah, Zangief was the only one I didn't think of. Zangief was the only one I couldn't have got. There you go.
So fun fact. So Bison, Vega, somebody else had their name switched round. So the black boxer dude was originally called Mike Bison, and Bison, the bad guy in the red suit, actually
based
called
on Mike
Vega.
Tyson.
Right.
Yeah, they swapped him round because it was a bit,
Mike Tyson. Yeah,
On the nose.
on the
On the
nose. A black boxer called Mike Bison, called M Bison.
He even had a bit of a Tyson haircut, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, he did,
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Cool. Right. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so that's Chris on 3 points, Alan on 1 point, Phil is on 0. So
yeah, it's like it's going to change any
yeah,
time
that
soon.
way you don't know.
I feel bad because Phil that was incredible effort on Mass Effect,
It
man.
was,
Genuinely incredible effort.
And I kept
let myself down.
giving you extra, but I just had to call it at that point, man. I had to call
I
it.
know.
So this one, I may have made a bit of a mistake here because this is out of 47, so it's going to take me ages to keep ticking down the list. But I'm hoping there'll be a lot of them on here that, I mean, I've never heard of half of these people, but people here may have done. So this is going to be Phil first. So this is Lord of the Rings characters.
Odd.
Phil, what's your
Hold on, Alan.
But Alan's going, oh no, what if I can't get it? Because I remember that when he gave me a Halo 3 question or something, I was like, uh-oh,
Yeah,
uh-oh.
Yeah.
Right, Phil, how many can you get?
4.
4.
I'm going with 4.
Okay, 4. Then we go round to Ratley.
6.
6.
I'm not even sure I can do 6 if I'm honest.
Round to Alan, can you do more than 6?
10.
10. Oh,
Yeah, you can have it.
you with a big number. Phil.
Well done.
I have a feeling Alan's playing it safe at 10 as well.
Yeah.
That's the worrying
You
part.
stiff me, Philip. Don't you do it.
He can just do the fellowship and be done, mate, and be like, done it.
That's what I mean. Yeah, he can at least. I've seen him name the fellowship off the top of his head.
Yeah, but Phil, you can't. So if you say one more than him, he'll just do the fellowship and nail you. And if you go any higher than that, he'll nail you because you won't be able to do it anyway.
I'm
He
bust.
wins. Just give him the point.
Phil's bust. Right. Go on then, Ratley. You bust as well?
I'm out. Oh.
Right, Alan. Go for it, my man.
Okay.
10, yeah?
Okay. Frodo Baggins, Merry Doc Brandy Book, Peregrine Took,
Okay.
Samwise Gamgee, Gandalf the Grey, Aragorn, son of Arathorn, Legolas, Gimli, son of Gloin, Theodren.
Is that 10?
Gollum. I can keep going. We've got Arwen, Eowyn, Treebeard. Yeah, you've got Saruman. You've got Tom Bombadil.
even
You've
putting
got
them in.
Madagascar the Brown. You've got. I mean, do you want me to carry on? Shall
And
I
then
carry on?
47 would be...
Yeah, you can just insert a nice like cut frame in there so that people don't realise that we had to sit here for 10 minutes listening to Alan list.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't have got to the fellowship, so I knew if I couldn't
Yeah.
name the fellowship,
Yeah.
Alan was going to
Same
win
problem. Like
Alan
I
was
just
going to win it.
Yeah,
I
even
haven't
some of
watched
them...
enough.
Yeah, I'm the same. There's loads of like names in here I've never even
Did
heard
I mention Wormtongue? Yeah, Wormtongue.
Grima Wormtongue, yeah.
Oh yeah, Grimmer
Gladriel.
Wormtongue, yeah.
Celeborn.
There's what we got. There's Peregrine
You're
Took,
all
you
right, Alan.
said
We
him.
get it. We get it.
Witch
You
King
win.
of Agmar, Gildor
Yeah,
Inglors Rian. Like Gwaithir.
Well done, mate.
Is,
Well done,
is,
mate. In all
is
seriousness.
Glorfindel in there? Is Glorfindel in that list?
Glor.
He's just dropping random names. He's just going to make one up to make you look on that list for the whole 47.
Glorfindel. I have put him in
Glorfindel, for you trivia fans out there, is actually the character in the book and the radio series that's actually replaced by the female Liv Tyler as Arwen, because there wasn't enough female representation in the film. So they swapped out Glorfindel, the elf, who was a close friend of Legolas.
Nice. Okay. Well, actually,
It was a good move for the movie.
I said about my colleague at work, Emily. She's a big Lord of the Rings fan, and I didn't do this question on her because the others I don't think were quite as big. But it'd be quite nice to get you head to head, you two, big super fans, see who could do the best. Cool, great stuff. So after that, we have Alan on 3 points, Chris on 3 points, Phil is still on 0, but you can still claw it back, Phil. You can still win. Okay, so the next one we have, we're going to start with Ratley on this one. It is Star Wars game franchises, and there are 11 franchises of Star Wars games that have been out. How many can you name? He's not disconnected. He is still here.
Yes, just for the listeners.
I was,
he's
for a
thinking.
brief moment, I was worried he died.
He's just tugging on his beard at the moment.
4?
4. So it's a starting one is 4. Okay, round to Alan.
Can't be 4.
Can't beat 4. Bust. Alan is bust again. Okay, Phil, can you beat 4? Star Wars game.
You say franchises.
Star Wars game franchises.
One of you an example so I understand
a series of games. A series of Star Wars games.
So they'd be like 1 and 2 would be considered one franchise?
Yes, that's it, yeah.
How many did Ratley say?
4.
4, baby.
Oh, I'm going to go...
Go on, Phil.
7.
7.
Oh,
what a leap. Ratley.
Yeah, you can have it.
Oh, he's gone bust. Phil.
Confident.
Right.
All right,
Let's in the hot seat.
You got the Battlefront series. Now, in theory, there's 2 of them because there's Battlefront 1 and 2.
There is just a Battlefront series.
Them.
Still a Battlefront
series. Just Battlefront series. Yeah. Okay, so you've got the most recent Jedi Fallen Order. So that's 2. You've got the Old Republic, the online game.
Fallen Order, yeah. Yeah.
Then you've got the 2 Knights of the Old Republic games.
Right, sorry. You said Battlefront, Fallen Order, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yep.
And the Old Republic.
Then the Old Republic.
Yeah.
They're 2 separate things. Squadrons.
That's
Technically a separate one. It's 5. Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the Jedi Academy game.
Yeah.
Because
Jedi
Academy was 1.
But it's not the series.
Yeah, there's Jedi Academy, and then there was the Kyle Katarn one as well.
Yeah, the series.
What was the series?
Jedi Academy. Oh, Jedi Knight.
Jedi Knight.
Jedi Academy and Jedi Knight.
That's your 7, mate.
Oh,
boom!
I can go a bit more. There was Republic Commando.
Go on.
So you got the Lego Star Wars franchises. The
Dark Forces.
Empire at War. The strategy one.
Yeah.
Dark Forces is a good one. They also did. They did like is it TIE Fighter and Starfighter?
Technically, the Dark Forces was part of the Jedi Knight series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. But they definitely had like the TIE Fighter, and then they did Star Wars Starfighter. I think
Starfighter as well as a different one. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. There's one other. Which,
there's a Clone Wars game as well. There was a Clone Wars game.
Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah.
Yes, Star Wars. Yeah. Well, that's technically, I suppose, that was a predecessor to the Old Republic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first ever Star Wars MMO, wasn't it?
Total Geeker!
So mate, you smashed that one. Absolutely smashed it. That was brilliant.
Done, Phil. I couldn't have got there.
There was also Galactic Battlegrounds and Star Wars Racer, Pod Racer.
Of course. Yeah. I watched a video on that the other day as well.
Yeah. No, that was awesome, mate. Well done, Phil. That's 2 points for you, my man.
Like that game.
So, 3 points for Alan. 3 points for Chris, 2 points for Phil, all coming down to the last round. So,
please let it be about Star Trek. Please let it be about Star Trek.
So, this one is, how many items can you name in Alan's gaming room? There are a total... No. Alan's like, bust. No, seriously though.
Alan spins around and starts listing them.
Okay, so there is a total of 28 that I have listed here from the Wikipedia page. And it is...
Phil's ex-girlfriends.
No, I didn't have enough paper for that. There is Endgame heroes in the final fight, as in Avengers Endgame. Heroes in the final fight. There's 28 available in total. All right, so Alan, how many can you name?
8.
8. Starting strong. Love it. Now we go over to Phil.
Oh, I'm going to up the bar to 10.
10 from Phil. Ratley. Raise or bust?
I'd take a punt at 11.
11 from Ratley. Alan.
I'm gonna play it so.
You going to go for it? He is thinking, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't
I'm going to bust out.
You're
I'm going to bust out.
Okay, he's going to bust out. So it's just now between Phil and Ratley. Phil, can you raise on 11?
Oh, I can't win if I don't, can I?
Mm.
How many is there total?
28.
28
28.
total, yeah.
Oh, how much is going to make Ratley not want to try?
Yeah, but how much can you do? Because you've got to do it, don't forget.
No, I know, but I can't win unless I do it.
Yeah, but if you outbid me and I just let you do it and then you fail,
Yeah, I'd have lost anyway. It doesn't matter, does it? 18.
18?
Oh, I'm going to go
Blimey.
18. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and name every character I can remember from it.
Go on, Ratley. Can you trump 18? He's thinking, ladies and gentlemen.
How bad does Chris want the win?
Yeah. You know that it's one of those things that not in a hot seat, I'd probably be able to rattle off like a ton of people. Mm-hmm. But in a hot seat, can you do it is a whole nother question.
It's tough. It's tough, man. Come on, I need to push you. Can you do it?
High.
Raise or bust? Come on, Ratley.
I'm going to let him go for it.
Go on, let him go. So bust. Right.
Win it, mate.
Win it,
please.
Good luck, Phil.
Phil, win it. Please, God, win it.
It'll be a 3-way tie break if you get this.
Yeah.
Do it.
No, he'll win it, won't he?
He'll win it.
Iron Man.
He'll win it. 2 points.
So, you ready?
Iron Man.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
Captain America.
Captain America,
Thor.
yeah. Thor is a... Yeah, let me just find him, sorry. Yeah, Thor.
Hulk.
Hulk, yeah.
Falcon.
Falcon, yep. That's 5.
War Machine.
War Machine is, 6.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. So Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yes, and Wasp, yes. That's 8.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yes.
Star-Lord and Nebula.
Yes, so Star-Lord. Let me grab him.
And
Star-Lord.
Drax.
And Nebula is... One second. Nebula and Drax.
That's
yes.
12.
That's 12 now, yeah.
Oh, and a Rocket and Groot as well from Guardians.
And
14.
Mantis as well. Mantis,
15.
Yes. 3 more to
Doctor
go.
Strange and
16.
the big dude. Wang.
Doctor Strange and Wong.
One
17.
more.
17. One more.
Come on.
Oh, Valkyrie. The
Valkyrie,
one from Thor,
yes.
the female one.
Valkyrie.
Captain Marvel.
18.
You
Woo!
could have got Black
Flying
Panther.
in.
But Phil, you won.
Black Panther as well. Black Panther.
Yeah.
Fantastic, mate. Well done.
And well blooming earned. 18. Well, good work. Some
Awesome,
of those
mate.
I wouldn't have thought of.
I was
Right.
actually, when I was doing that, I was like going through the crews in a list, trying to think like from each of the movies.
So the other
That's what I was
ones.
doing in my head. And I was getting stuck at points, but there was some which I had in my head, which I was like, I'll use them. And Phil didn't go any near. Like Captain Marvel was one of my first ones.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking, and that led me to all the women in my head. I was like, there's all the women heroes. They line up.
But there's that shot. Yeah, totally.
Pepper Potts turns up at the end, doesn't she, as well?
You could have had. You could have Black
Yeah, and I was
Panther, Bucky, Captain Marvel, Gamora, Hawkeye, Howard the Duck is an outlier, Kraglin, M'Baku, Okoye, Pepper Potts, Scarlet Witch, Shuri, and then that would have been it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
you
nailed that.
did
Well done,
cracking
well done.
there, mate. You did cracking. Because actually, my colleague who tried it out at work, she got 16 in the end. So you
Nice.
pipped her by 2. So well done, mate. No, that's
Well
well
earned
So
victory.
final
Well earned.
scores on
Well
there.
redeemed from the Mass Effect one earlier, mate.
Yeah, that was 3 for Alan, 3 points for Chris, and 4 for Phil. Golf clap for Phil.
Thank you.
Well done, Phil.
I'm going to stay here all week, but this may never happen again.
So let me just get my little score sheet out on my manual piece of paper.
I just wanted to ask, by the way, Craig, you were totaling things off there. You're using an Excel spreadsheet there.
I am, yes.
Good work, man.
Yeah, it's got to be done. It helps. So that means now Phil has finally got off the mark. He has 1 point, 1 win in this year. So we are currently, for the year standings, we have Ratley on 3, Alan on 2, and Phil on 1. That's awesome. I'm so pleased that you got
Not
off the
0,
mark.
most
Not
importantly.
0. That's it.
Phil, mate, you look at that comeback from 2 weeks ago where you got absolutely trounced into the ground. You know, to this, mate,
Devastating.
you earned it. You earned
Mate,
it.
that was
recovery.
and it was a
Craig,
ballsy move
Craig.
at the end.
More games. Yeah. Well, that's it. It was bust or nothing, so I might as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, well
I'm
played,
trying to
man.
just
Like,
go for the full number so
Awesome.
that Ratley couldn't even have a go.
well, I felt like taking a stab, but I was like, that's a big ask, man, and I
Yeah.
don't know if I can do
Yeah.
that. So, well
Yeah.
played, man. Very,
Did you
very good
enjoy that,
tactics,
boy?
Very good. tactics.
Do you enjoy that, boys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
It's good. If I
Yeah.
wasn't in a losing position,
was
I
good.
definitely wouldn't have done that.
Great stuff. Right. Well, I guess that just leaves us to say thank you, everybody, for watching and listening again this week. And that's a bye from me. It's a bye from Alan.
Shall not pass!
It's a bye from Ratley.
I can't follow that. Like, bye, everyone.
It's a bye from Phil.
Oh, goodbye.
Oh, a quiet,
that's
silent
better.
bye. Oh,
My mic just didn't pick up, yeah?
no, that's it, yeah. So a bye from Phil. Well, it's a bye from everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye.